Good morning. Welcome, everybody. So happy you could join us for this special event. While we're waiting for everyone to board, please share in the chat where you're joining us from today. Our usual tradition, we like to know what towns, cities, areas are represented, so please let us know. I'm Miriam Diamond, the program director for the Encore Boston Network. We've got Springfield in the house, Arizona. Welcome, good morning. It's early for you. Brockton, nice. Good to see all of you. And we want to let you know this event is being recorded. Oh, Indianapolis, Waltham, nice. Please turn on the closed captioning if you find that helpful. And as always, throughout the program, add your comments, react, do whatever you need to do in chat to let us know you're here. If you want to actually speak today, we'll give you a chance to actually speak verbally. So you can raise your hand. You can use the reactions button at the bottom of your Zoom screen if you're on a computer, and use the virtual hand, raise your hand icon, or you can use your physical hand. Today, we're here to celebrate the Encore Boston Network as we come in for our final landing. We're going to acknowledge all the places we've been and help you plan for future voyages. So our agenda today is to recall where we've been, our development and history as an organization. We'll give you an opportunity to share your memories and what you gained from being with us. And we'll help you identify other agencies and resources that can help you moving forward, as well as ways to keep in contact. And at the end, we'll create a collaborative Encore Boston Network waterfall, so stay tuned for that. Our facilitators today are Doug Dixon, Amy Avergun, and driving the tech, as always, is Kendra Mrozik, so I'm really happy for that. So we're going to start with welcoming Doug Dixon, one of the co-founders and chair at Network, to remind us where we've been over the past 10 years. Welcome, Doug.
Thanks, Miriam, and welcome to everybody. So good to see a lot of familiar faces on the screen in front of me. So I've been asked to do a kind of flyover to take a look at some of the places that we've been over the last 10 or so years. So let me see if I can share my screen. Okay. Is that, can everybody see that? So the first thing that I wanted to talk a little bit about before addressing these things that are in front of you is how we got started. What's interesting about the formation of Encore Boston Network is it actually began in San Francisco. And there are several people that I see among us today who are actually at the meeting in San Francisco where the idea for Encore Boston Network was hatched. There was a conference out there, and about 20 of us, maybe out of 200 or so, were from the Boston area. And most of us knew each other, but not everyone. And we kind of looked at each other and said in private conversations throughout the 2 or 3 days that we were together, why are we flying across the country to get together? We really ought to be doing this on a more frequent basis back home. So within a month, we had gotten a few of us together to begin to plan what an Encore Boston Network might look like. At that point, the temporary name that we gave it was GBEAN, Greater Boston Encore Action Network. Some are sorry that we didn't stick with that, but EBN seems to be shorter and easier to say. So the first thing we did was to plan what we were going to do together and what our mission was. And we decided that what we would focus on was removing barriers and advancing opportunities for people over 50 to be engaged in the workforce and in community service. So we asked Barry Bluestone, who was a labor economist and had done some research on what the economy was missing from the lack of participation by older adults. He was our keynote speaker for our launch. And that research has been updated recently by AARP, and the current number is about $850 billion a year. That is the cost of age discrimination and its impact on the inability of people who want to work and can't work, people who want to contribute in other ways and can't, adds up to $850 billion, which is a huge loss to the economy. We spent the next couple of years finding some money to help us get started, doing some research to understand what the issues were, sharing and learning together, building relationships, and adding other people, identifying who else should be at the table. And one of the things that we recognized very early on was that there was a gap between the individuals who were looking for opportunities and the organizations that were looking to bring them on. So we organized an Encore Expo, what we called an Encore Expo, held at Boston College in 2015. We maxed out the hall. we had 30 recruiters from various organizations and 230 or 250, I can't remember the number, but as many as the fire department would allow in the building, actually interacting with, and there were workshops and that sort of thing. So that was our first foray into both connecting recruiters to older adults, but also connecting older adults to those who are looking to bring them on board. And I see several people who are actually manning those tables with us today. We also had an opportunity in 2015 to contribute to the White House Conference on Aging, which is held every 10 years by law. We knew the people who were organizing this, and there were a series, I think there were 5 altogether in different parts of the country, sessions that were held in anticipation of the White House Conference. And the one in our area was focused on economic security. The politicians and others who were making speeches at that forum were talking about ways to fix Social Security, Medicare, and other things that do, in fact, contribute to economic security. But the group, many of those that you see in the pictured here, were, when there was an opportunity for the audience to speak, we're talking about this idea, why don't we actually let people who want to continue working continue to work? Why don't we help them find jobs if that's what they want to do? Back to the same theme, there's an opportunity for people to actually continue to contribute to make a difference for themselves and for the economy and for the community and for society, as opposed to being dependent. Okay, why isn't that moving? Kendra, how do I make this move okay, thank you. Then we sort of shifted gears because we had an opportunity to participate in a national program called Generation to Generation, which was intended to connect older adults to young people through relationships with youth-serving organizations. So with funding from the Boston Foundation, we launched Gen to Gen Boston, and we had a kickoff session that included Ellen Goodman, who was a longtime columnist with the Boston Globe, Alice Bonner, who was then the Secretary of Elder Affairs for the state. Who else? Michelle Wu, who was then president of the Boston City Council, and others. What you see here are some teams that, you see Ramesh Advani and Rita Badami, who organized and led that campaign with then Mayor Walsh, and a group, many of whom you'll recognize, who served on one of the teams for, in this case, I think it was Generation Citizens. So we worked with, I think it was 24 youth serving organizations and helped them learn how to engage, support, recruit, take advantage of the skills of people over 50. We did host a regional Encore conference that included initiatives like ours around New England. I won't say much more about that, except that in that time period, we also learned about a new platform for making available in a new and sort of user-friendly way the opportunities to be engaged in service roles. So we worked with First United Way, and I see Julie Crockford and Donna Morell, who were also involved in that. And then ultimately the Mass Service Alliance, which has a focus on community service, and launched Connect for Good. And if you're not familiar with that, I highly recommend that you take a look at it. You can gain access. You can also you can Google Connect for Good, but you can also find it on our website. And it makes it very easy to connect to opportunities that are kind of custom. You can tailor your interests. You know, do you want to volunteer in the daytime, in the evening, with family, alone, with a group of friends, and so on. So that is another thing that we did back in the day. In 2019, we had an opportunity to join together with some folks who had pulled together an organization called Founders Over 55, which is an effort to create support for Encore entrepreneurs. And that work still continues from a small group of people who filled up a room, standing room only, over at in Cambridge at the Venture Cafe there. We now have a mailing list of, I don't know, close to 1,000 people. So in about that same time, we all remembered what happened in 2020, and we were beginning to shift our focus more definitively in the direction of supporting people who were looking for work. And that turned out to be prescient because a lot of people in the early days of the pandemic had lost their jobs. And so we brought together the group that we had been working closely with to develop a 6-part series called Mastering the Job Search for People Over 50. And you can find recordings of these sessions. It was one of the better efforts, and it keeps bubbling up in terms of the value of those sessions. And it gave us two things. One is an opportunity at a point at which people were trying to figure out, how are we going to continue to provide support and service when everybody's locked down, nobody can go out, and we need to shift gears. And of course, Zoom was the solution the all-purpose solution for addressing that issue. But it also provided an opportunity for the organizations, 8 or so organizations that work together to present this series, to learn by doing. And each one of us began to master Zoom through mastering the job search series. The next year, we identified an opportunity to connect, again, individuals to organizations, in particular employers, who were looking for people over 50. And with the Certified Age-Friendly Employer Program, I see Tim on the call, Tim Driver, and the AARP Employer Pledge. I don't know, Kara, if you're with us. But together, again, working with a group that had created the Mastering the Job Search series, we organized an age-friendly employer forum. And we had, I think, 3 or 4 employers in that first session. and more than 400 people decided that that was something that they wanted to participate. So it went so well that we decided to continue to do that, and we've now held 7 of these over the last almost 2.5 years. And then building on that work, we shifted to the new world of work. A lot of things have changed over the last several years. And we wanted to create a series, which we did last fall, that focused specifically on the ways in which the workforce has changed. The way people find jobs, the way people are hired, the way people find alternate ways of working. All of those things we highlighted, working again together with our partners, especially 50 plus job seekers in Massachusetts and the Massachusetts Councils on Aging. So with that, I'll just show you what happens when you move from meeting in person to meeting on Zoom, because we were reaching hundreds of people a year when we were meeting in person. As soon as we moved to the Zoom platform, people began to recognize the value of what we're doing, actually from around the country, in addition to here in our more local area. And you can see the steady growth. And that last data point for 2023, even though we are shifting gears and will not be continuing to do programming in the same way that we have, the rate at which people have participated in the first quarter, if you projected that, it would continue that upward climb of the line. Now, the question is, why did we decide not to continue? And there are 3 reasons for that. And for those of you who have read the website and our newsletters, you'll have a sense of this. But the first thing is that people are consuming information differently. And we all know this, right? There's much more happening online. If 100 people sign up for a program, about 50 will actually show up in person. The other 50 will consume it as if it were a podcast or an online resource. That makes it very difficult to continue to do work the way that we're doing it. So we've decided to follow the lead of, as we always have, of the people who, that doesn't say that there isn't value in this kind of a forum. It's just that the time has come for us to recognize that what we've been doing in the way that we've been doing needs to change. The second thing is that there are many more resources available. When we started this work 10 or a dozen years ago, there was very little available in the way of resource. Now it's everywhere. You can hardly turn around without bumping into a new book, a new podcast, an article in the paper and that sort of thing. So for the mainstream, for people who have access to those resources, they're readily available. And the third thing is that we increasingly recognize that there are a number of people who are being left behind, who don't have access to those resources, or for whom the resources are not particularly well designed. We recognize those needs, but at the same time, we recognize that we are, as an organization, not very well situated to meet those needs, and that those needs need to be met in different ways. So what we're basically saying is that we have made the contribution that we can make. The organizations that have been a part of the network, who have been collaborators over the years, have built relationships. Those relationships will continue. We'll continue as individuals to be supportive of those relationships, but we'll also be looking for opportunities to connect with organizations that are better positioned to meet the growing needs that we ourselves cannot meet. And I'll just identify some of those communities. They're typically low income, low education, people who don't have access to broadband, people who have language challenges in terms of being able to manage the job search process and so on. So it's that category that I think is less well tended to, and I think is begging really for some attention. And that's where I personally would like to focus my attention. I know many others would as well. So with that, I'm going to stop talking. And Miriam, what comes next?
So the next is our well-known presenter, frequent captain of this event, which is Amy Avirgan, is going to lead us in looking back and sharing our memories.
Hi, everyone. As Miriam said, I think of myself, I've been sort of the pilot for a lot of different programs that we've done. And you just heard Doug share what we would consider highlights from EBN's point of view. And what we would really like to do right now is hear from all of you. You know, what were some highlights for you as you have participated in EBN programs or worked with us? You know, what has occurred that maybe to carry our metaphor along that gave you liftoff or lifted your spirits, or, you know, in some cases caused some turbulence in your life and maybe caused you to think about, well, maybe I need to get out of my comfort zone a little bit. Michelle Obama in her new book talks about how valuable it is to be comfortably afraid. So I guess what we would like to do is just hear from anyone on what EBN has meant for you, any highlight for you, big, small, whatever it is. So Kendra and Miriam, if you can help me, if people want to raise your hand, if you want to unmute yourself, whatever. So who would like to start us off?
I see that Jan would like to. Jan, can you unmute yourself? Thank you.
There we go. Sorry, I just wanted to say that the experience at 2015 at the White House Conference on Aging, which was held in the Ted Kennedy, the new Ted Kennedy, then new Ted Kennedy building, was just so grand to be able to participate from whether the balcony or the main level there. It was so impressive. It was so great to be there. The second point, though, that I want to make is the fact that I think that Doug Dixon's leadership is so overwhelmingly encompassing that beginning with Life Planning Network and then the Encore Network and then Encore Boston Network, he is responsible for so much that is good in the world. And I really respect him so highly. Thank you so much, Doug.
So, you know what I'd like to do? I know Doug is an extremely humble individual. And if he has his way, he wants everybody to realize he's one of the co-founders. But for those of you who know Doug, if you want to use the reaction button, and let's just give Doug a nice big round of applause. Can we do that right now? Raise, let's see where it is. Or thumbs up, or the heart, or whatever you want to do, okay? So thank you, Doug, because you have been really the jet engine, or whatever the expression is here.
Well, so. somebody said earlier, the last man standing. That's not necessarily a compliment.
No, but
I appreciate the thought. And now let's move on, because
yes,
we've done
let's
that.
move on.
We don't have to do it again.
Okay.
And by the way, Jan was one of the originals. Jan was with us from the start.
All right.
Thank you,
Terrific.
Jan.
All right. Who else has something that you want to share that, you know? Do we see anybody?
Tim, can you? Yes. Good.
Yes. Tim, great.
I'm going to put a word in the chat that I just think, you know, I think that Doug and all of the team that led this organization all these years, that's how you pronounce indefatigable. And I think it is the word that I would say just characterizes Doug's incredible commitment to this cause, as well as I think probably everybody on the call. But I just I also want to just tip my hat to the the effort. I just think it's really been indefatigable, and so I'm in full admiration of and I'm fully expecting, Doug, that you're not stepping out of the cause. You're just you're going to continue it just in a different manner, and all of you. I just want to say thank you, because I think it's an incredibly important cause, and one that certainly the boats are all a little bit higher as a result of EBN's work over these years.
Thank you, Tim. And yes, let's hope that the other word that we all hear all the time now is pivot, that we're going to see some pivoting from people who have been very involved in this. So who else? Who has experience? Who wants to share some highlight of what EBN has meant to you, or GBean, or just being involved in this? Yes, Karen.
Hi, I'm so glad you're having this session to really appreciate what EBN has done, and especially Doug and Miriam, Kendra, Amy. I mean, the whole team. I am newer to this realm. It's only been a little over a year that I've been collaborating with Doug and the others, and it's just been so wonderful, because I've learned so much and been supported so much. I'm with 50 Plus Job Seekers as the project manager, and we've collaborated on workshops together, and I loved the bouncing ideas off each other and supporting each other's events, which has been just amazing. And I love that Encore Boston Network took the events to another level, that given the scope of what we do, we can't go beyond really job seekers unless we can twist it a little, whatever the events were, to support and make it as, that correlation between job seekers. Encore Boston took it beyond and was able to talk about social action, which we're not allowed to so much. But, I loved collaborating with everyone, and it's just been amazing. The workshops, the topics were certainly relevant, timely, right there on point. And it's what people needed to hear and to learn about. Me included. I came to some of the ones personally that I, were not within the realm of job seekers, and got a lot out of it. So I'm glad that we'll be able to still continue, reaching out to each other individually. A little sad that Encore Boston Network as an entity as a whole won't be there, but the relationships will continue, and I am very grateful.
Thank you, Karen. And I think the key word is collaboration. Those of us who have worked with different organizations and corporations know that, everybody sees collaboration as, a crucial component of success. Much easier said than done. And I think one thing that Encore Boston has really shown is how to collaborate. And those of you, personally, the one of the best events that I have participated in was that 6-session job search, mastering job search that we did very early during the pandemic. And I don't know if people know this, but originally we were doing it at a location. I believe it was at a church in Roxbury that could accommodate 40 people. And suddenly this group of people, all these different organizations said, wait a minute, let's figure this out. And I have never, in all honesty, seen, I don't know how many, or I think there were probably 6 different organizations pivot so quickly, do things with just the goal of doing something that was so right at that time. And for me, as somebody who has worked for both for-profit and nonprofits, I hold that out as really a model of what can be done in a very short amount of time if everybody puts their ego aside and just says, let's do the right thing. So anyway, I wanted to share that. Who else has something that you would like to share?
I see Camille has her hand up.
Great.
I will unmute myself. Sorry about the silhouette here. I happen to be in my office, but the sun really blocks. So I'm sorry about that. I happen to come by EBN. Actually, it's under a year. I think probably closer to 9 months. I learned about it, I think, in early fall. And started going to some of the workshops. And I would have to say, for me, I'm always a person that always played it safe. And so it's valuable to be comfortably afraid and to be unsafe. Coming to this group has helped me to slowly, I would have to say, but surely to move out of my comfort zone and to seek other opportunities that I would not have done before. So I have a degree in marriage and family therapy, and I graduated 10 years ago. And because of this group, I've decided to go back and get my licensure. I would not have done that had I not been a part of this group. So I'm really stretching myself. So I have to thank everyone who led these workshops. Doug, I know Amy has led, there's a couple of others who have led these workshops, you, Miriam. I have to thank you all. And I'm sorry that this is going to be gone, or I'm even sorrier that I learned about it so late. But the website is still there. I still learn a lot from the website. I have the names of folks here, and we'll be able to reach out. So thank you again.
Thank you, Camille. And actually, in just a couple of minutes, we're going to share some other organizations and resources that might help you to continue. And I'm happy that you picked up on that phrase, comfortably afraid, has just been ringing in my ears ever since I saw it in Michelle Obama's book. So I figure if she can be comfortably afraid, how about the rest of us? So who else has something that you would like to share?
Amy, would you like to unmute yourself?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so it's nice to be here to congratulate all of you for an amazing job with this organization. I'm speaking as someone who used the services and thought they were incredibly robust, and also was able, through my work at Jewish Vocational Service, to feel very comfortable and really happy to have this service and these programs available to clients. I can't tell you how many times I made referrals and felt so comfortable doing it, knowing that they would be in good hands, that the clients would be in good hands. And I think many of people have already said there's a sadness, but also very much an understanding and really an appreciation for having all these years been connected. And I just want to thank you all and wish you well.
Thank you, Amy.
And Amy gets the credit for sending me to the Encore Boston Network. So thank you, Ame.
Oh, is that right? Oh, that's perfect. Okay, excellent. We all thank you, Amy.
That's right. We referred many people in to JVS as well.
Yes, yes, good. All right, so Doug, why don't we, it seems like people have utilized EBN as a very valuable resource. We don't want to leave them hanging, or whatever the expression is here. Can you kind of share with us what some resources will be going forward so that people don't feel as if they're, what would the expression be? Their flight has been canceled. Go ahead.
So there are other carriers, and we will.
There you go.
And here are some of them. And I've mentioned some of these before, and you'll see by the way, you'll see this on our website. If you go to our homepage, which is EncoreBostonNetwork.org. This is a partial list. These are many of the partners that we've worked with over the years. So Karen mentioned 50 plus job seekers, Operation Able, which does wonderful work, very related to this in terms of the focus, the audience. You heard from Tim earlier and the Age-Friendly Employer Program. I mentioned the Massachusetts Service Alliance and the work that they do, particularly with community service and volunteer opportunities, and Connect for Good. AARP, which has a number of volunteer opportunities, as well as an amazing array of workshops and other ways to engage. And Power Success Corps, ESC, which does amazing work in the nonprofit, supporting nonprofit organizations, with opportunities to be a consultant as well as a fellow to serve in both pro bono as well as stipended roles. Ignatian Volunteer Corps, which places people in long-term service roles, typically 9 months over the course of the year, typically from September until June. Maybe that's 10 months, in a range of service opportunities. Boston Cares, which has a platform for identifying service opportunities, typically, one and done, kind of day of service opportunities. Seniors Helping Seniors, I see Doug Peck here today, who offers a range of paid opportunities for companion care, mainly for people who are suffering from dementia. I mentioned Founders Over 55, which supports Encore entrepreneurs, people who are starting businesses later in life, and Dementia Friends, which is a program that provides training to people who are offering services or want to be better prepared to deal with people in their families and their community who have dementia. I could list more, and there are others on the website. For example, Tim Driver with the Age-Friendly Employer Program also runs retirementjobs.com, a platform for identifying employment opportunities. Also Mature Caregivers, which also provides services to older adults in their home, many of whom have dementia. Those are paid opportunities as well. You'll find on the website this outline of programs, and under information, and under Find a Job, you'll find a lot of information like the information that the series that we did with other organization called Mastering a Job Search for people over 50, Age-Friendly Employers, lots of resources on alternative ways to work, which we have called Reinventing Yourself. And that includes remote work, and includes part-time work, and includes consulting, it includes gig work, a whole range of ways to work that don't involve a full-time job or committing yourself to an organization. And also, obviously, starting a business. And then if you are interested in service opportunities, you can serve at a nonprofit, and these are largely volunteer roles. And you'll find, this is where you'll find the Connect for Good websites. But you can also do community service, which doesn't necessarily involve a specific job and a commitment to an organization. These are things that you can do on your own, things you can do remotely, service roles from your home. And of course, we often overlook the work that many of us do to care for family members and friends. But this is a legitimate role and makes a huge contribution, not only to the individual and their families, but also to society and our economy. And I think we should elevate that work and give it the recognition that it deserves. And under social action, we have a whole series based on programs that we've done of opportunities. So if you click on Find a Cause, you'll find information about a whole range of opportunities. But there are other ways that you can involve yourself informally. You can be an advocate. You can be an activist. You can do things, and I see Carol Greenfield is very good at getting other people in her neighborhood, among her friends, others together to be active in a variety of ways. And then, of course, there is the constant challenge of living in a society in which ageism is still an issue. And we do provide some information about that and how to sort of work around it and deal with it. So you'll find all of this information on the website. The website will remain active for at least a year. We're trying to figure out what options we have for providing this information and keeping it available on an ongoing basis. So more on that to come. I do want, while I still have the microphone, I want to call out a number of people who many of you will recognize as having been instrumental in the work that we've done over the years. Our first executive director, for example, was Kathy Kang, who you saw in one of the pictures. And then Mary Gunn, Ramesh Advani took that role, and Rita Badami, who led the Gen to Gen initiative, and then Mary Gunn, who was our program director during the early days of the pandemic and the first couple of years, and then of course Miriam. But the person who's been behind the scenes, largely unseen, who has made all of this happen in a very smooth way is Kendra Mrozek, and I want to give her a call out as well, because she's usually not seen, but very much responsible for our ability to do what we do in a way that is professional and that recognizes the options available to us through the wonders of technology. But also those who have been at this from the very beginning. I mentioned Jan Hively, Tim Driver. I see Carol Greenfield on the call. I saw Phyllis Siegel, I think. Phyllis, you're still there. Julie Crockford and Donna Morell from ESC, Tina Matz from Boston College School of Social Work, Doug Peck from Seniors Helping Seniors, Amy Mazer from JVS, whom you heard from earlier, and who am I missing? All of whom were on board very early on or at the beginning. Lisa Borchetta, who was with at that time Boston, the Beacon Hill Village. I hope I'm not missing anybody, but others that we've worked with, Tom Model, who am I overlooking? I hope no one. And of course, Karen Sousie. So I want to thank all of you for your contributions to the work that we have been able to do and the contributions that we've been able to make. I think we should all feel good about the not just the effort that we've made, but the outcomes that we've been able to achieve working together. None of this would have happened if we were not working together. And each of us were doing good work in our own ways at the very outset and would continue to do that work. But I think the success that we've had is demonstrating the value of coming together, learning to sing, from the same page of music and make a louder noise together than we could individually and to open a range of opportunities that wouldn't otherwise have been available. So I see a couple of hands. Laura?
Thank you. First, thank you all very much for having done what you have done. It's been an incredible ride and journey. I, like someone else had mentioned, feel that it's a pity that I didn't know that you existed sooner for the journey that I've been on. So thank you very much. And I'm glad that the short time that I've had with you, I've been able to take advantage of what you've been offering. So thank you very much for keeping the website up. So my question is, and I see Kendra just put something in about the YouTube channel. I had put a question in the chat about if the videos will be available in perpetuity, or if that channel will actually be taken down, if you're talking about perhaps the website not being around forever as well. That's one question. The other one is, I haven't attended all of the events and webinars that you've provided, so I've missed some contact information from some of the people and partners that you've been thanking during this presentation. It would be really great if there were a list of those people at those partner organizations that we could then reach out to, especially for those of us that didn't get that contact information at those webinars. So if people who are able to want to stuff that into the chat and we can all save it, that would be lovely. If not, if that information, and maybe it's too private and people don't want to publicize it, that's fine too. But anybody who's willing to, it'd be really great if we could have a list of people that we could reach out to at particular organizations that you've been partnering with. But again, thank you very much for everything that you've done. I'm sorry to see you go. I'm really sorry to see you go. I think you've been serving a purpose, and I'm surprised and saddened that it won't continue. But thank you for everything that you've done.
Well, thank you for those suggestions. And some of that information is on the website, but we'll look at making it more generally available in other ways.
Thank you.
Tom?
I just wanted to say, Doug, that although, as we've talked over the years, my particular focal points for work I'm doing in this field related to aging populations didn't intersect strongly enough for me to join you directly, I found your work to be inspiring and also your presence to be ubiquitous as my expansion of involvements has gone even internationally. So thank you for all you've done. You're a true remarkable presence and treasure.
Cynthia? Thanks, Tom. Cynthia, you're muted.
Thanks. Yes, I thank you so much. Thank everyone for everything that you've done. It's rather bittersweet as well to when I got the email, I'm like, oh no. And I just have so many memories. Thank you for sharing the program partners and going into detail. That was a great update to let us know what each partner shares. And I attended a lot of the events. I advertised a lot of the events on my organization's volunteer calendar of events, and they just love them. I just love passing on information. Once I get it, I can't hold on to it. I love giving it away. And especially, if it's free, everyone likes a freebie. So it's just been enlightening, inspirational, educational. And I'm going to miss you guys. I've updated my resource database exponentially. So I thank you all for that. And I just, it may sound kind of cliche, but thank you for your service. And I love you, Kendra.
and for those of you who don't know, and my oversight for not mentioning it, Cynthia works for Literations, which used to be called Generations Inc. And they provide very valuable tutoring services to students in the Boston Public Schools, the Revere Public Schools, Framingham Public Schools, and in the community as well. It's a wonderful organization, and Cynthia is a gem and has been very much a part of that for a number of years. Tina?
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to express how important this network has been to my own professional development over the years. And, Doug, just unbelievable leadership. You're connecting people in ways that really draw on their strengths and kind of maximize, you know, these connections and partnerships has just been amazing. And over the years, I've developed friendships and good partnerships with so many people that are on the call and not on the call. Carol Greenfield and Jan Hively and Karen Sosi and Julie Crockford and Phyllis Siegel and Tom Model and Mary Gunn, and then others who aren't on this call, who I so appreciate. And so I've just found this extremely valuable over the years. And as an academic, you know, this has been kind of my portal to this community in a lot of ways. And so I just want to thank you for your leadership and for your friendship over the years, and to also reiterate what Laura was saying. I hope that there can be a way that we can continue to communicate with each other and be in communication within this network as we move forward with our work. Maybe not, you know, EBN formally, but in our work in related spaces. So thank you.
And Tina has helped us do a lot of research and kind of stay in touch in that way with the audience that we serve. She also helped to lead the Racial Justice Series, which I didn't mention explicitly, but has been a very much a focus over the last several years. So thank you, Tina. Carol, you're on mute.
So I know Doug doesn't like the focus on him, but I'm sorry, Doug. I have to say some more things about you. I've probably known Doug the longest of anybody on this call, right, Doug?
Yeah, I just want to say, be careful what you say, because I may have some rejoinders based on.
Well, since the early 1980s, when I worked at the Executive Office of Elder Affairs during the second Dukakis administration, and Doug was an ombudsman at Blue Cross and Blue Shield. And anytime there was a problem related to health insurance, I knew I couldn't get it fixed for whomever it was that was contacting the Secretary of Elder Affairs, because Doug was there to fix it. And Doug and I have been colleagues and friends for, I guess it's 40 years. And I can just tell you that what you've seen from Doug in the last 10 years at the Encore Boston Network, it's characteristics and traits that have been ingrained in him for the long haul, including, he didn't mention that the 10 years before the Encore Boston Network, he was a prime instigator and mover in discovering what's next, which I am eternally grateful to him. And I think he knows that, but I want everyone to know it. So I guess other people on this call would probably like to know what's next for you, Doug. And I don't think you have to share it with us now if you're not ready, but I hope that at some point you will be ready to do that. And then we can all, you know, continue to see how important you are to this kind of work and to our community. So thank you.
Well, that's an easy answer. I'll continue to do much of what I've done. I just won't be doing it with an organization with the responsibility to keep an organization afloat. It's, as many of you probably know, it's increasingly difficult these days to find funding for work like this. There are very few funders in this space. Those that are in this space are typically funding other things. So, you know, there's still work to be done. There's still ways to do it. It's just shifting gears and doing many of the same things in different ways. And that's really what my focus will be going forward, as I know it will be for many others here as well. Any other thoughts? And by the way, Carol is not only started discovering what's next, but also she and I worked together to get ReServe started in the Boston area a few years back. She was one of the original co-founders of GBean, now Encore Boston Network as well. And I just noticed that that Cheryl Alexis has joined us from Mass Hire South Shore. And Cheryl's been doing a lot of programs with us over the past several months as well. So nice to see you, Cheryl.
It's been a pleasure working with you all, and I came late to the party, but I've missed you. But now when I refer people to you, I don't have to tell them, no, it's not the casino. No, don't go to Encore the casino. That's not what I'm talking about.
We were the original Encore Boston, right?
Really? I didn't know that. It's been such a pleasure working with you all. I'll miss you.
And by the way, the Mass Hire system, you know, another call out, wonderful resources, and particularly South Shore in Quincy.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Doug. Thank you all for your comments, your memories, for sharing everything. One of the comments was, how do we stay in touch? And one of the options is LinkedIn. And you can connect to Encore Boston Network on LinkedIn and then find everyone else. So that's certainly one opportunity. And you can always email us and we can help you get some of the word out. So it's been a pleasure getting to know all of you through our programs. I've always valued your comments, your questions, your participation, the collaborating partners, many of whom I've worked with quite closely since I've started my job here. And now we talk about collaboration. So for our final thing today, we're going to build a collaborative waterfall, an EBN waterfall. And what I'm going to ask you to do is think about for a minute a word or two that reflects how you feel or what you've gotten out of the Encore Boston Network. When you have it, don't hit enter. I have to tell you this first. Put it in the chat, but don't hit enter until I tell you to, please. So put in the chat a word or two without hitting enter that of what you associate with the Encore Boston Network or what you've gotten out of it. And when you're done, if you could raise your hand, either virtual or real, so that I know that you've done it, but don't hit enter yet until I tell you, please. This is going to be a very special moment for all of us. So I see some hands up, some people still thinking. Give you a few minutes. I want to give everyone a chance. You're doing a great job. That's excellent. I know it's hard to do. Okay, has everybody entered something? Who wants to enter something? Seeing more and more hands. That's great. Everybody's moving to the top of the line. Everybody enter something that wants to? Okay, so I'm going to count back from 3. And then when I say it, you can push the button. Ready? 3, 2, 1, enter. Okay, there was our waterfall of wonderful, wonderful words. And it's not too late. You can still get them in. You can be the trickling end of the waterfall. Thank you all so much for everything that you've done, for participating, for contributing, for presenting, for publicizing, for just letting friends know about this. It's been a real pleasure, and I wish you all the best, and I'm looking forward to keeping in touch going forward.
Bye, everybody. It's been a great trip.